Silakan.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Yang saya hormati Bapak Dekan Fakultas Kedokteran Gigi Universitas Padjadjaran dan Ibu Wadek Pendidikan, dan saya hormati Guru Besar Radiologi Kedokteran Gigi Prof. dan juga Guru Besar di bidang Radiologi Prof. Ahmad Sauti, dan juga tamu undangan kita Asosiat Profesor Dr. Johari, saya panggil Johari Yap ya Abdullah ya, dengan Dr. Norsila. Kami ucapkan selamat datang di Fakultas Kedokteran Gigi Universitas Padjadjaran, sesuai dengan janji Ibu Hari untuk mewujudkan kerjasama kita dengan USM, dan ini merupakan realisasinya untuk kerjasama kita yang lebih dalam lagi antara Fakultas Kedokteran Gigi Universitas Padjadjaran dan Universiti Sains Malaysia. Dan tentu saja selama saya studi di sana di USM, itu merupakan satu pengalaman yang paling berharga, paling menyenangkan ya, karena di daerah Kota Baru Kelantan itu merupakan kota pelajar ya, kota pelajar, dan ibaratnya dikatakan sebagai serambinya kota ini ya, serambi Mekahnya Malaysia ya, serambi Mekahnya Malaysia. Jadi tidak ada di sana gangguan seperti bioskop ya, tempat-tempat hiburan, jadi fokus belajarnya ya full di sana ya. Nah seperti itu ya, itu pengalaman menyenangkan ya. Alhamdulillah ya, pada hari ini kita kedatangan tamu sebagai staf pengajar yang mungkin bisa memberikan berbagi pengalaman dan keilmuan ya, terutama Dr. Johari ini merupakan satu pakar dari 3D ya, 3D 3 dimensi untuk imaging ya, rekonstruksi maxillofacial ya. Jadi bukan hanya untuk pemanfaatan di bidang radiologi, tapi di bidang forensik juga, kemudian juga di bidang protetik ya, protetik. Dimana kalau sudah tidak ada setengah kepalanya, itu nanti desainnya akan dibuat oleh Dr. Johari Yap, nanti akan dibuat disatukan dengan ahli bedah ya nanti seperti itu. Sedangkan Ibu ya, Dr. Norsila ini merupakan pakar dari oral biologi yang tadi sudah bicara mengenai kemampuan speed ya, speed ya. Saya tidak begitu mengetahui oral biologi ya, karena nanti ada Prof. Ahmad Sauti, staf dari radiologi. Mungkin itu saja ya, insya Allah kita akan menjalani aktivitas kita, mudah-mudahan ini dapat bermanfaat bagi kita semua. Saya akhiri, wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Ya, terima kasih Dr. Fahmi. Acara selanjutnya sambutan dari Kadep Oral Biologi Fakultas Kedokteran Gigi Universitas Padjadjaran kepada Profesor Dr. Ahmad Syauqi, Dr. Gigi M.Kes, kami silahkan.
Terima kasih atas penjurumusan. Terima kasih. Terus terang saya tadi sudah menyambut bahwa kita sangat bergembira. Insya Allah ada banyak hal yang bisa kita bagikan di sini, dan juga mudah-mudahan bisa membangkitkan kepada para generasi muda kami bahwa dari satu imaging pencitraan ternyata banyak hal tadi sangat diberikan bahwa sesuatu yang niscaya insya Allah bisa dikreasikan ya. Cuma nanti tinggal ilmiahnya akan menunggu. Terima kasih, dan juga selamat berkunjung ke fakultas kami, dan mudah-mudahan Bapak Ibu berdua bisa melahirkan sesuatu yang sangat bermanfaat bersama untuk kemaslahatan diri dan juga kami. Khusus untuk biologi oral, mungkin berkali bila Ibu sudah tinggal di Malaysia, bisa lah kita akan Zoom meeting untuk discuss about Sudah cukup. Dan terus terang, saya nggak diagendakan untuk bicara. Dan bukan biasa saya untuk bicara. Terima kasih. Tapi saya bergembira dengan Fahmi ini. Dan ya ini seperti saya. Dan saya titip Fahmi sama dia. Terima kasih Pak. Very good. Pak Dekan. Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Terima kasih, Prof. Nah, acara selanjutnya sambutan dari Kaprodi Radiologi Kedokteran Gigi, Fakultas Kedokteran Gigi Universitas Padjadjaran kepada Dr. Azari Dr. Gigi M.Kes, Spesialis Radiologi Kedokteran Gigi, Subspesialis Radiologi Diagnostik Konsultan. Kami silakan.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Sebelumnya, terima kasih pada Dr. tamu kita, Dr. Johari dan Ibu Norsila yang saya sangat bahagia dan kita semua pagi ini. Saya juga mengucapkan terima kasih kepada panitia yang sudah mempersiapkan acara. Saya kira pagi ini fokusnya kepada radiologi dan biologi. Dan saya kira ini jadi banyak sekali ya sambutannya. Jadi saya mungkin supaya ini cara kita mungkin mengharapkan sehingga kita harus semua. Jadi saya sangat merasa berkepentingan ya radiologi karena bidang IT ini saya kira sudah merupakan suatu hal yang sangat besar yang harus ada sebetulnya di radiologi kedokteran gigi kita dan kita sampai saat ini. Jadi ini merupakan suatu yang memang tidak memberikan inspirasi radiologi lebih mengembangkan ke rekonstruksi dan AI mungkin saya kira yang juga sekarang sangat dituntut dari bidang kita. Saya sangat berterima kasih sekali dan ini merupakan ilmu dasar dari bidang kita semua. Dan satu hal lagi saya kira yang patut kita tiru di Malaysia sana ilmunya sudah terintegrated ya dengan berbagai departemen. Kita masih parsial dan saya kira di dalam hal ini kita itu saja saya kira dari saya. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Baik, terima kasih Dr. Azari atas sambutan yang telah diberikan. Acara selanjutnya sambutan dari Guru Besar Radiologi Kedokteran Gigi, Fakultas Kedokteran Gigi Universitas Padjadjaran kepada Profesor Dr. Gigi Suharjo M.S, Spesialis Radiologi Kedokteran Gigi, Subspesialis Radiologi Diagnostik Konsultan. Kami silakan.
Terima kasih kepada pembawa acara yang memberikan kesempatan pada saya untuk ikut memberikan sambutan juga. Yang saya hormati Pak Dekan, dari Unpad, Ibu Wakil Dekan, dan juga tamu kita dari USM yang terhormat Associate Professor Dr. Johari dan Ibu Associate Professor Dr. Norsila. Selamat datang di Unpad. Juga Pak Kadet OB yang saya hormati, staf Kaprodi Radiologi Kedokteran Gigi, Dr. Azari, dan para staf radiologi, para presiden semuanya. Jadi memang demikianlah perkembangan ilmu radiologi kedokteran gigi. pada saat ini Pak Profesor, Associate Profesor Dr. Johari, bahwa kita sedang mengembangkan ilmu radiologi kedokteran gigi, khususnya spesialis untuk dentis di seluruh Indonesia. Indonesia sudah, kita yang pertama, Fakultas Kedokteran Gigi FKG Unpad yang pertama kan, pada tahun 2009. Jadi kalau 2009 sampai sekarang ini sudah 14 tahun. Jadi kita sudah menghasilkan dokter gigi spesialis radiologi kedokteran gigi. Nah, diikuti oleh Universitas Indonesia, Jakarta, Universitas Erlangga, Surabaya, dan terakhir Universitas Hasanuddin. Jadi karena kami awalnya yang menggagas di Indonesia ini ya ditarik ke sana kemari untuk bisa mengembangkan di seluruh Indonesia. Demikian juga kami di Malaysia punya kawan tadi Prof. Jainul dan juga Profesor Noliza ya, sudah profesor sekarang. Itu kawan sahabat kami di Malaysia. Kita harapkan juga Malaysia nanti bisa mengembangkan ilmu radiologi kedokteran ini. Kita harapkan Associate Profesor Dr. Johari ini bisa memberikan inspirasi. Karena terus terang saja perkembangan ilmu radiologi tidak hanya berdiri di 3 dimensi, tapi sekarang sudah mau 4 dimensi. Jadi nanti mungkin Profesor Dr. Johari bisa membantu kita nanti bagaimana caranya 4 dimensi, tidak lagi 3 dimensi. Saya kira itu saja sambutan saya secara singkat. Terima kasih. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Terima kasih Prof. atas sambutan yang telah diberikan. Acara selanjutnya pembacaan doa kepada Dr. Gigi Arisugi, kami silakan.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Yang saya hormati Profesor dan dokter-dokter sekalian, demi kelancaran dan keberkahan acara ini, terlebih dahulu marilah kita memanjatkan doa kepada Tuhan Yang Maha Esa. Mohon izin, saya akan membacakan doa dalam agama Islam dan bagi hadirin sekalian yang non-muslim dapat untuk menyesuaikan. Terima kasih. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Rabbi zidni ilma warzuqni fahma. Amin. Ya Allah, ya Tuhan kami, pada hari ini kami akan melaksanakan kegiatan kuliah pakar. Untuk itu ya Allah, berikanlah kelancaran dan keberkahan bagi kami dalam melaksanakan kegiatan ini. Ya Allah, ya Rahman, ya Rahim, semoga Engkau mengampuni dosa-dosa kami dan semoga Engkau selalu memberikan kesehatan dan keselamatan bagi kami, keluarga, dan guru-guru kami yang telah mengajarkan ilmu yang berguna kepada kami. Ya Allah, ya Rabbi, ya Karim, semoga Engkau menjadikan kegiatan kuliah pakar ini sebagai majelis ilmu yang bermanfaat, khususnya dalam perkembangan dunia pendidikan kedokteran gigi di Fakultas Kedokteran Gigi Universitas Padjadjaran. Rabbana hablana min azwajina wa dzurriyyatina qurrata a'yunin waj'alna lil muttaqina imama. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah wa fil akhirati hasanah wa qina adzabannar. Amin. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Baik, hadirin yang berbahagia, tiba kita pada acara inti pada pagi hari ini, yakni kuliah pakar dan dilanjutkan dengan diskusi dari Dr. Norsila Abdul Wahab dan Dr. Johari Yap Abdullah. Untuk pembicara pertama akan didampingi oleh moderator Dr. Kartika Indah Sari, Dr. Gigi M.Kes. Dan izinkan kami sebelumnya untuk membacakan kurikulum vitae dari moderator kita pada pembicara pertama pagi hari ini. Baik, ada perubahan. Untuk pembicara pertama akan dibawakan oleh Dr. Johari Yap Abdullah yang akan didampingi oleh moderator Dr. Gigi Fahmi Oscandar M.Kes, spesialis odontologi forensik. Sebelumnya akan kami bacakan untuk kurikulum vitae beliau. Kita menunggu untuk ditayangkan terlebih dahulu. Baik, akan kami bacakan kurikulum vitae untuk moderator siap. Jadi langsung saja. Siap. Baik, untuk memanfaatkan waktu, mungkin kita langsung saja untuk kuliah pakar yang pertama akan dimoderatori oleh Dr. Fahmi. Kami silahkan.
Baik, terima kasih atas kesempatan yang diberikan. Jadi sesuai dengan rencana kita yang pada saat ini kita akan mempersilahkan kepada pembicara pertama Dr. Johari Yap Abdullah. Saya akan bacakan kurikulum vitae secara singkat ya. Pertama Dr. Johari Abdullah ya. Dan sekarang sebagai staf pengajar di Maxillofacial Defects Laboratory Sp.OF Sains Kampus Universiti Sains Malaysia. Beliau adalah lulusan dari untuk kualifikasi lulusan adalah untuk undergraduate di Lincoln University, kemudian graduate diploma dan magister sains dari New Zealand ya, CPIT ya, saya tidak tahu ini apa singkatan CPIT ya, dan Ph.D in Craniofacial Prosthesis di USA ya. Saat ini beliau sangat banyak sebagai anggota komite profesional, sosial komite dan supervisor di untuk program Ph.D ya, sebagai main supervisor dan juga sebagai co-supervisor. Dan juga beliau juga telah banyak mendapatkan award dan penghargaan, dan juga sebagai academic editor dan academic journal reviewer di international journal ya. Beliau juga telah mendapatkan research grant yang cukup banyak ya, dan publikasinya sangat banyak publikasinya untuk international publication untuk standar Scopus. Dan pada kesempatan kali ini beliau akan menyampaikan dengan judul presentasi Use of the CT and CBCT data for 3D reconstruction and rehabilitation of patient with Maxillofacial Defects. Ya, jadi sebagai deskripsi bahwa ini pemanfaatan dari CT dan CBCT untuk membentuk atau merekonstruksi dari secara 3 dimensi ya, dari kraniofacial ya, yang nanti pemanfaatannya bisa untuk kepentingan protesis ya, protesis untuk protesa prosto ya, kemudian untuk kepala dari pasca defect dari kondisi patologis ya, seperti itu. Juga bisa rekonstruksi wajah ya, rekonstruksi wajah untuk bila wajahnya sudah tidak dikenal ya, ledakan dan lain-lain ya, seperti itu ya. Dan itu sumbernya adalah dari pencitraan dari CT dan CBCT ya. Setelah itu dilakukan printing 3 dimensi pada prinsipnya 3 dimensi dan diletakkan oleh di bidang mulut. Untuk mengikat waktu, saya akan mempersilahkan kepada Associate Professor Dr. Johari Yap untuk mempresentasikan waktu lebih kurang 30 menit. Berapa menit? 30 menit. Oke, kami silakan. Kita berikan tepuk tangan.
Terima kasih Dr. Fahmi di atas introduction kita tadi. Saya buka jam ni takut terlebih cakap. Biasanya saya dapat mikrofon ni cakap sejam. Nanti saya ada slide, lebih daripada 100 slide, tapi kebanyakannya gambar supaya nak sharing. So, saya bisa bercakap bahasa Melayu atau English atau dua-dua sekali? Bisa.
Bahasa Sunda pun tak.
Takut terkeluar bahasa Cina. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. Pertama kali saya ingin mengucapkan terima kasih kepada dekan kerana mengalu-alukan kedatangan kami. Kami rasa seperti seorang VIP, very important person, dengan sambutan ucapan daripada ketua-ketua departmen. So kami terasa sangat terharu lah. Asalnya datang ingin libur-libur saja, tapi memandangkan kita ada MOA dengan Unpad rupanya. So dah alang-alang sudah sampai di sini, why don't we change our ideas, knowledge, kan? Atau in future kita boleh buat collaboration yang lebih mantap lagi. Dan dekan pun memang sangat bersemangat, dan dekan pernah pergi ke USM sebelum COVID, dan mungkin kita senyap sekejap sebab COVID tak boleh nak bergerak, dan sekarang dah sudah terbuka balik dan kita boleh teruskan lagi perancangan yang kita adakan. Dan sebagaimana yang diperkenalkan oleh Dr. Fahmi sebentar tadi dengan Bapak Profesor, saya bukan seorang dentist, I'm graduated in IT, Bachelor in Software and IT, and buat banyak on image processing. That's where bila master di USM, actually on intracranial volume, on image processing juga. Sepatutnya MSc in Craniofacial Imaging, tapi masa tu tajuk tu belum ada lagi, so tumpang di oral biology. Sampailah saya graduate masih oral biology. Dan my Ph.D is in Craniofacial Prosthesis, di mana saya design implant untuk patient yang ada kemalangan jalan raya, di mana ada tekanan dalam otak, intracranial pressure yang dah hampir melepasi midline sheath. So mereka harus dipotong sebahagian pada tengkorak supaya otak dia boleh bengkak. Then bila dah surut balik, after a few months, then they put back the flat. But sometimes the flat dia rosak ataupun ada jangkitan, so terpaksa menggunakan implant lain. That's where I came. So kita design satu menggunakan commercial software yang berbayar, di mana satu software bernilai RM200,000 Malaysia. So lebih kurang 6 juta lah saya rasa. 600 juta. Dan saya punya design menggunakan open source software yang percuma, dan kita tengok dia punya ketepatan dan kejituan, the accuracy and the precision of that implant. Okay.
Ya, aku sudah dikoneksi. Sudah dikoneksi. Gedung.
Ya, lagi senang. Ya, pokoknya kayaknya bisa.
Apa namanya tuh? Ini bahasa
Okay, basically we use imaging for caries detection, periodontal evaluation, periodontic treatment, implant surgery, pre-surgical treatment planning, post-surgical evaluation of craniofacial pathology and orthodontics. And in research, we can do post-processing to visualize complex cases, of course to optimize patient care. That's right, this is the imaging modalities. Of course, CT and CBCT is one of them, right? Yes. Okay, from the image here, can you guess what kind of animal is that? This is CT scan data and we reconstruct into 3D. Can you guess? No? Ya, ada dua kaki. No? It's a rabbit. This is I'm assisting the orthopedic surgeon, Professor Razak. Now he's the Dean of Medical School in this surgery for the fracture healing in vivo. Okay, next. Okay, this one is a micro CT data. This is the head of that animal, small animal. Can you guess? Tikus. Okay, next. So this is intraoral scanner. You have one here also, right? So this is project by my year 4 student, elective project, where she has 18 patients. Actually, the 18 patients is their friends. So he took the impression, conventional impression, and she also took the intraoral scanning, and she want to compare the result of both the precision of intraoral scanning and as well as the conventional impression. Next. Okay, these are the steps. As you see, intraoral scanning, from there you can get the virtual dental cast ready, and we can do the analysis. But for the conventional impression, once we get the cast, we have to scan the cast. Then we get the virtual cast. Then we want to compare the two. And then we have to do the cropping as well because it's not the same, the cast and the actual palette. So then we do the comparison using cloud compare. Okay, next. So this is the impression making process. Next. And this is the comparison. So based on her study, on 18 patients, the results are similar. So meaning to say the intraoral scanning is as accurate as taking the impression. So you can reduce that part. Next. Okay, this is patient with orbital defect from Gomusang, about 4 hours drive to Kota Baru. So normally for this kind of cases, for eye prosthesis, we take the impression of the face, right? But it's very uneasy for patient because it cannot breathe, so you have to put tube in the mouth. Next. So this one, from the conventional impression, we use intraoral scanner to scan the impression and get the virtual cast. The next. We also did the CBCT scan on that patient. Our CBCT is quite old, it's more than 10 years old, so the region of interest is quite small. And it's not, we cannot get the whole face, but we can still get at the defect area. But the result is not that good. Alright, next. So this is the process with using Mimic software to 3D to do the measurement. Next. And we also tried using intraoral scanner to take the extraoral scan of the defected orbit. So then we translated into STL format. Next. So we did also some measurement from the intraoral scanning. Next. So as you can see, there are 3 types of modalities. One is from the impression making, one from intraoral scanner, one from CBCT scanner. And of course, CBCT scan involves radiation, so it's not good for patient. And for conventional impression, it's very uneasy to patient, so we can always try the intraoral scanner. Next. So for intraoral scanner, it's non-invasive, can produce similar results in creating eye prosthesis. So get the next one. So this is another patient, 5-year-old child. It's very hyperactive, very difficult to get the conventional impression because she's jumping around. So we use the intraoral scanner to scan, and we print out using 3D printer, FDM, fused deposited manufacturing. It's a filament-based 3D printer, and based on the 3D printed model, we create the eye prosthesis on the model. So instead of using the impression, we use this one and we apply to patient. Okay, next. And this one is laser scanner because we found that intraoral scanner is very small, so it takes a lot of time to take the whole face. This one we have some collaboration with Siri to test this scanner. A few minutes on it. Next. Yeah. Just one. No, Mission Impossible. Tom Cruise. Yeah, you can change the face just like that. Alright, so it's very fast and you can get the whole face. Next. And then from the image you get, you can use the meshing technique. And this is normally for orthodontic and orthodontic surgery. And with pre and post, we can do the evaluation based on this. Next. So this is patient with SCC. We have to create a prosthesis to cover the whole. This is after post radiotherapy treatment. So next, after the CT scan, we designed the prosthesis using MITK. MITK is a free software from Germany, so you can type MITK in Google it, and you can download and try. So this is a DICOM image. Then we designed the prosthesis on the CT scan. Next. Then we create into 3D and we did a virtual trying of the prosthesis virtually. So we can decide on what extent we want the prosthesis to go in. Right, next. And we print out the model. The blue one is from PolyJet 3D printer. It's a resin based. The purple one is the filament based 3D printer. And after that, we did a wet striding on patient. Then next. And this is the final prosthesis from silicone. We applied to patient, and this one is published in Bulletin of Tokyo Dental College. Okay, next. So, related published papers. Next. So this one, trueness and precision of an intraoral scanner in digitally copying complete dentures. So it sounds very simple, but this journal is a Q1 journal. This one in collaboration with Prof. Ilse from New York Dental College. He emailed me saying that he has this one project, he want me to do the analysis after he read my other paper. So once we have collaboration, you know, a lot of things can be done. So I'm the only Malaysian there, so the rest are all from New York. I never met Prof. Ilse in person, just by email, and then we did a Zoom meeting, something like this. So this is, we did the desktop scan on the complete denture, and then another one is scanned using intraoral scanner, and then we reduce the size and the mesh into 100%, 75%, 50%, 25% in STL and PLY format. Anybody here know what is the difference between STL and PLY format? No. The PLY format is the 3D image with color. You can see the actual color, but the STL is just grey. Normally STL for when you want to do the 3D printing. So 3D printing is based on the material color. Okay, next. So this is the complete denture that we scan and do the comparison. Okay, next. The results we compare using HD and DSC, which I will explain later. HD is Hausdorff distance, is between the point and points. The average distance between point and point, because in 3D you have X, Y, and Z point. So every point we compare and get the average. So the less different, meaning to say it's similar, and DSC is size similarity coefficient, where we use the volumetric way of measuring the similarity. Okay, next. So this is the conclusion. Anyway, I will share the PowerPoint here, then you can read later. So we went to save time, I'm going to explain here next. So this one, the first paper that we published before GDS, this JPD is also Q1, Journal of Prosthetic Dentistry, and it's famous among prosthodontics. Percentage of mesh reduction appropriate for designing digital obturator prosthesis on personal computer. So this one is where we reduce the percentage of mesh from 100%, 75, 50, 25, 10, 5, 2, and 1%. And see if we reduce the mesh, is the accuracy and the precision of the mesh reduced. So next. And then next. So this is the defects of the dental cases, and also the conventional part that the one that we do the test. Next. So we use mesh mixer software for the mesh reduction. Mesh mixer is also open source, it's free. So if we read a lot of paper, you know, they're using this software, Dolphin. You want to try or cannot? Dolphin costs us 200K. So we cannot replicate the study. But if you use mesh mixer or use any open source software, we can replicate the study. Then if we publish the paper using open source software, it's easier for other institutions to follow and sometimes email and collaborate with us. So it's an advantage also. Right, next. So this is the table results, and we also use DSC and HD. Next. So this is the conclusion. Okay, next. This is another paper, a virtual analysis of the precision and accuracy of 3D ear casts generated from smartphone camera images. Next. Okay, next. Okay, this one, we scan the ear cast using the next engine optical scanner. We got the virtual STL cast, and then another one we use camera, and two cameras, then we do the stitching and get the STL, then we compare. See, it's very easy, just comparing. And next. So this is the table results. Next. Then this is the conclusion. So smartphone is equivalent in accuracy compared to the optical scanner. Next. Right. Next. Okay, this is another one. Computers in biology and medicine is also Q1. Designing 3D prosthetic templates for maxillofacial defect rehab, a comparative analysis of different virtual workflow. Next. 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 So just to show this one, we use also the 3D data from the DICOM, and then one is using commercial software, another one using open source, and we do the comparison. Next. Okay. So the software that we use, one is Mimix and Trimatic. Another one is Slicer. Slicer is from US, it's free. MITK from Germany, it's free. And Mixer is also free. And Cloud Compare for comparison is also a free software. Next. So this one, intracranial volume post-cranial expansion surgery using 3D computed tomography scan imaging in children with cranial synostosis. So this one is very difficult to measure the intracranial volume because of the defect of the skull. Next. So this one we use shape-based interpolation method using MITK, and it's also an open source software. This one we did the collaboration with the neurosurgery department. Next. So this the conclusion. Next. This is shape-based interpolation method in measuring intracranial volume for pre and post-operative DC using open source software. So even the methods also we can publish in neurosurgery. This one Q4. Next. Okay, next. This one is another Q1 journal in rapid prototyping journal. Comparison of STL skull models processed using open source software versus commercial software. Next. So this is the flow, the image segmentation process. Next. So this one we compare the 3D reconstruction of mandible from pre-operative planning using commercial and open source software. Okay, next. So the top one is using Mimix, the commercial software. The below one MITK from the reconstructed mandibles, and we do the comparison. Next. So this one we use MeshLab. It's also free. Next. So this one biomodeling of maxillofacial implant applying open source software. You see a lot of open source here. Next. So this one 59 years old male patient with swelling on the forehead. Okay, next. So after the CT scan, we found a well-defined lesion which is not connected to brain. So before we did the intervention, this one by the oral and maxillofacial surgeon with neurosurgery department, neurosurgeon. So we did the 3D reconstruction next using MITK, and then we bring out the 3D model next, and then actually we bend the mesh on the model, 3D model, we cut it, and then during the surgery, we use the mesh and to cover the defect by our oral and maxillofacial team. Next. Okay, next. So this is the post-op CT image of the patient with the mesh on the forehead. So we use the 3D model of the skull for the pre-operative planning. So it saves time. So when you open it, just plug and play. Next. Okay, so this one from the patient, we went for CT scan, 2D data with pathology, we did the image processing, printed 3D model, and then surgical intervention. Next. Then we also use to bend the titanium plate. This one is a amyloblastoma patient before the resection. So we did a mirror imaging, then we bend the plate according to the line. So during the operation, we just put in the plate and we get the fibula to replace the wound. Like next. This one for the maxilla. Next. Open source software. Okay, next. Okay, commercial software is expensive. Another one, in-house software, the one they developed in the university, sometimes the email they want to use, we cannot use because it's in-house software. So that's why we go for open source software, which is free, and anybody can do it. Next. So okay, next. So I just want to show you the price of Mimix software. You know, Get Time in 2012. If you look at down there, it's about $29,000 US. So That time the rate is still 3 ringgit 20 cents, but now it's 4.57. So it's equivalent to 133,000 ringgit Malaysia, or 444 million for a software. Right? Okay. That one is to buy. What if we rent? The next. For rental, 3 years rental of academic license cost us about 117,000. So it's more expensive just for 3 years. After that, we cannot use. Okay, next. So that's one. Another one is when you purchase, you have to pay the license fee every year to renew the license. But at least for mimics, if you don't renew, you can still use, but you cannot upgrade. You know, this version is version 17. Now they have version 23, but we're still using 17. But if in other software, if you don't pay the license fee, the renewal, you cannot use at all. So that's why we promote the use of open source software. Next. Next again. Okay, this is previous protocol in our center. This one is a patient from South Thailand. He's been shot, but luckily the bullet just passed through the skull, but not the brain. So he has no money, but he wants to do something on the skull. So he came to USM. Next. So last time, without the CT scan, what the surgeon did was they pull out the flap, and then they mix the PMMA acrylic mix, and then they trace on the head, patient's head, to get the shape. So this is very crude, and during the curing, it will be very hot, and then but that's the best they can do at that time. Next. So after that, we insert. Alhamdulillah, the patient is safe. So the middle one is the oral surgeon, and on his right is the neurosurgeon that did the operation. Okay, next. So we have a lot of cases like this in Malaysia. Next. So this is just to share my PhD study. There are two parts. One is to do the 3D reconstruction using the Mimic software, and at the same time, the same patient, we did the 3D reconstruction using 3 different other free software, which is MITK, 3D Slicer, and Invisilis. MITK from Germany, 3D Slicer from USA, Invisilis from Brazil. Next. So another second part of the study is to create the implant, the cranial implant, designed using 3Matic, the commercial software, and another one is MITK software. And we did the comparison. Okay, next. So these are the steps: segmentation, 3D model, post-processing, get the 3D model. Next. And then this is the result. Mimic, 3D Slicer, Invisilis, MITK. But how can we compare? So this. Next. First, we use the landmark. We chose 10 landmark based on previous study to do the linear measurement. Next. And then we export into third-party software 3Matic in STL format. Okay, next. Okay, this is the reliability result. Next. Okay, next. 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 Another one is to do the superimposition of the 2 3D models. Then we make a fine registration. Then we did the HD and DSC test. So this one is analysis on 3D. Next. So these are the results. HD 0.25 meaning to say 0.25 millimeter differences, average difference. And DSC 0.94 meaning to say it's 94.1% similar. So the best so far is 3D Slicer 98.8, but all above 90% similarity. Next. So this is the software, Cloud Compare. You can also Google. Next. Okay, this is the house dose distance. Next. This is how to measure the DSC. 2 times the overlap volume divided by volume A plus volume B. Next. Okay, next. Okay, next. Next. Okay, so this one design of cranial implant using trimatic. From mirror imaging, we crop the final implant, then we test on the skull. Next. This one design using MITK free software, and then apply the shape-based interpolation method and get the implant. Next. This is the shape-based interpolation method. Next. This one we apply on every 10 slice and every 5th slice to look the differences between the two. Next. Okay, next. 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 Okay, so this is the final results in HD and DSC. Okay, next. Okay, one is using skin. Next. This is the first case on real patient. This is bone resorption. After the accident, after a few months they put back the original skull, but after a while bone resorbs. So you can see the skull is like moving around. So we have to replace the new implant, but we want to use the original implant as well, because we don't just want to throw it away. Okay, next. So this is another case. Next. Okay, next. Okay, what we did is we designed the implant, and then because the material that we use for 3D printer is not biocompatible, because at the moment we have to print titanium, which is not available. So we print using normal material, but we make a mold for negative mold using the green stone. So we put the stone into autoclave, and then we did next. So we mix the PMMA and put in the green stone, and we press it to get the shape. Okay, next. So once we got the negative mold, we put in the bone, the patient's skull. We mix with PMMA, and then we apply to patient. So you can see a mixture. We call it hybrid cranioplasty. So we use less PMMA, so it saves cost, and at the same time we use patient's own skull. Next. So at the first we use the green gypsum mold, the green stone. That one is not green. But later on, we found that we have to press manually, so it's very hard. So we use flask. So we use craniofacial flask where we can screw it and let it for curing. This is only cold cure. And next. So this is a decision of the implant. So I was in the operation theatre to witness the neurosurgeon applying the implant. Next. So as you can see, the middle one is the atrial bone, and the around is a PMMA, and we use titanium screw and plates to fix the implant. Okay, next. Okay, this is another one. Next. So this is patient, pre and post hybrid cranial implant. Next. So in conclusion, MITK, 3D Slicer or Invasiveness, these three open source software can do the same as the commercial software. Next. So this is just a bit of sharing about forensic facial reconstruction. This Bapak ni semua tengok Okay, next. Okay, this is 11-year-old skull that found in Lengkong, Perak. This is the oldest, almost perfect skull that we found. Yeah, without the frontal bones. So how can we reconstruct the face without the frontal bone? That's the tricky part. So I actually emailed few professors in Italy, in France, in the US, as well as the graphic designer in the Brazil. So only one person replied me. Alhamdulillah. Next. Okay. A is the actual skull when we did the CT scan. Then this is the virtual model. Then we got the similar size skull as a donor, so we superimpose. Then once superimpose, we call it deformation, where we push the actual skull to fit the older skull. Like this, we push from behind until we can see the actual skull, here and there. And for E, we have part of zygoma. Then another one, we did a mirror imaging to create another zygoma on the left. And then we change the opacity so we can see the inside. So you can see this is the donor skull. And this is after we fix it, is the development skull. Then from there, we can measure the intracranial volume. At the same time, once we have the frontal bone, we can approximate the face of that. Okay, next. So this one using the proven method, Manchester method. Okay, next. Okay, so once we got the skull, we can put in the temporalis muscle, put the soft tissue, and we got the facial approximation of the abdomen. Next. So that time we were debating. So if on the left is very fair, so looks more like Chinese. So in the middle, looks more like Malay. But we found the skull in Lenggong, Perak, where there are a lot of Negrito tribes. So we follow that. So Negrito, they are a bit darker, so we use that trait. And then we discuss with the archaeologists as well as the forensic scientists. So these are the best face that we can come up with. Okay, next. So it's been featured in a local newspaper, Wajah 11,000 tahun. Okay, next. So this one also featured. So ciri-ciri Negrito banyak mempengaruhi reka bentuk akhir muka piramid. Okay, next. Then USM found another skull, but this one female skull, 5,000 year old at Gua Kepah. Okay, next. On the left is Professor Jafri Malik. He's the head of neurosurgery department as well as the chief editor of NJMS, Malaysia Journal of Medical Sciences. And then it's been featured in the newspaper as well. Next. So we took the skull, went for a CT scan, and then get the virtual skull. Next. And then using the same method as Perakman, but this one easier because we just replace a bit on the frontal part of the maxillary and mandible area. Next. So this is the facial expansion of Penang woman, but this one a lot of people commented, they said, how come the eyebrow so thick and so small, so thin? Okay, never thought of that. But anyway, that's the best we can do, right? Okay, and then this is at the Animal Research Service Center in USM. Next. This where I got the industrial grant, where this Madam Rosana is selling goose bone powder. Then he said that Malay folks there in Kelantan believe that by consuming orally the goose bone powder, it will heal your fracture very fast. You know, it's a lot of testimonies, but no scientific evidence. So, and there are also a lot of other competitors selling the same thing. So she came to me and said, okay, I want this to be proven scientifically. So that's what we did with the rabbit for the fracture healing. Next. Before that, yeah, you see overclaimed by competitors. Even I money very banyak, I don't know how they prove that. It's all based on testimony. So this is all the Ministry of Health against this because we cannot, or even as supplement also you cannot overclaim. So okay, next. So we have an MOA with the company Rosana Ventures. Her name is Rosana. Next. Next. So this is the rabbit. Effects of goose bone on fracture healing in rabbit model. Next. So this is the Animal Ethical Committee approval, which is quite hard. It's even harder than human ethical committee because they want to make sure that animal is taken care of. Right, next. So these are the cage for the rabbit, one cage of one rabbit, and it's 24 hours air conditioned and free flow of food and water. Next. So I assisted the surgery. Next. So this is post surgery. Next. And during the CT scan, we cannot show to other public that we are using the same facility for human or the rabbit, so we have to carry like baby. So that's why it looks like we carry the baby. The baby knows. Oh, so cute, baby. You don't look at the ear. Okay, next. So this during the we normally do this Thursday afternoon, because Thursday the working hours is until 3 o'clock. So make sure that no patients coming. But sometimes there's emergency cases. We have to wait and they have to treat the patients first. Only then we can scan, because we don't have the dedicated scan for the animals. Next. So we also did the conventional X-ray. Next. So this is the process. Next. So this is the final rabbit 10 penicillin scan X-ray. So we took one photo as a memory. Okay, next. So this is me with the rabbit. So these are the radiographical analysis that can be done. We drill a hole in that rabbit 5 mm and look at the healing process. Next. So this is the one. Next. So this is the in 3D. Next. Next. Okay. So finally, possible research is equivalent to publication. So you can either think of you have a digital workflow versus conventional workflow, or you have a improved technique or intervention. You want to compare with the conventional one, or rapid measurement. Rapid measurement meaning you say we want to measure something. Normally we measure it manually, but we can use semi-automatic or automatic, just one click with the result, and we compare with the manual one. Or even now we can use AI or machine learning or deep learning. So a lot of things that can be done. We still do the old way, but we try the new way. We will compare with the old way, and equivalent to one paper already. Okay, and we can also compare results, traditional versus new method, gold standard versus new method, automatic versus manual, commercial versus open source, or we can compare between the software. So a lot of things can be done from the CT or CBCT data that we have available at our center, right? So a lot of things can be done. Bapak, lepas ni kita kena bincang lah. 3 paper tahun ni. Okay, next. Okay, so that's all from me. Thank you so much. Sorry for taking more times because of this. Okay.
Terima kasih atas presentasinya saya ucapkan, dan pada kesempatan ini saya akan membuka untuk diskusi ya, karena berhubung waktunya tadi sudah terlewat ya karena persiapan teknikal. Jadi saya beri kesempatan untuk yang ingin bertanya, kami persilakan. Mungkin tidak bertanya juga, mungkin ada ulasan. Dewi memberikan ulasan. Silakan.
Oke, sudahkah sampai sejauh mana untuk dalam bidang dental teknologi yang Bapak pakai itu pernah dicobakan di Malaysia? Bidang dental khususnya bukan hanya masalah kalian, tapi masalah misalnya medical or TMJ. Apakah sudah pernah coba sampai ke sana? TMJ, prosthetic for TMJ, not only for the joint, temporary joint.
So far yang ada adalah on research on pain based on TMJ using AI lah. Tapi so far yang apply dekat Malaysia belum ada lagi. My field normally banyak menggunakan perisian yang percuma, bentuk buka, untuk membuat prostesis ataupun design prostesis ataupun any prosthetic material using open source, so that kita tak perlu beli perisian yang mahal Ya, so, contohnya kita ingin pergi ke pasar beli sayur, so kita tak perlu bawa kereta Mercedes, kan, bawa kereta kecil pun sampai juga, boleh beli sayur juga. So that's the analogy that you try to use as economical as possible to do the same thing, to provide the same results. In order to do that, then we have to prove that even the cheaper or economical way is as good as the commercial one. And of course, yang syarikat-syarikat besar dia tak suka lah, kan, they cannot sell their products, but at the same time, our budget is getting lesser and lesser, so we have to find a way to do the research. So that's the best we can do. Then based on that, kita boleh publish apa penemuan kita, dan secara tak langsung, satu, kita boleh share knowledge with the world, and at the same time kita boleh bantu patient, because kebanyakan patient yang datang dengan defect, kebanyakannya mesti orang miskin, mesti tak ada insurans, mesti kata, dan dia kasi kata, oh kita tak ada duit dan takkan kita tak nak treat dia. So the best way is to treat using this economical way lah. Even yang macam yang kena tembak tu pun, dia nak pergi CT scan pun tak mampu. So terpaksa lah kita pergi operation theatre, kita bancuh PMA tu dan kekap di kepala. So we always find a way to reduce the cost, but we still want to help to improve patient management. Saya harap itu menjawab soalan Bapak. Terima kasih.
Baik, terima kasih. Untuk selanjutnya, apakah ada pertanyaan kembali? Mungkin yang mengikuti secara daring. Baik, silakan, Kartika.
Ya, terima kasih Dr. Fahmi. Kepada Dr. Johari, yang ingin saya tanyakan adalah dengan perkembangan teknologi saat ini, mungkin kami ingin sekali mendapat suatu masukan, gitu ya, untuk sebenarnya level ilmu ini itu baiknya apakah memang bisa diperkenalkan, begitu dok. Jadi bisa diperkenalkan di level undergraduate itu sejauh mana materi-materi ini. Kan ini kan levelnya udah sangat tinggi. Nah, kenapa saya ingin tanyakan supaya mahasiswa-mahasiswa undergraduate itu terpapar dengan teknologi ini. Jadi mungkin dokter di Malaysia apakah memberikan materi di level undergraduate itu sebagai pengantar supaya mereka mengenal teknologi ini, dan kira-kira di level mereka itu kalau ingin diikutkan riset itu seperti apa ininya, skopnya begitu. Mungkin demikian. Apakah memang ini levelnya udah master program and doktoral, tapi bisa tidak yang undergraduate dalam level seperti apa mungkin?
Normally untuk undergraduate dia tidak termasuk dalam kurikulum, tetapi saya percaya sini pun dia ada mungkin tahun 4, tahun 5 akan buat research, kan. Dan research tu kita dedahkan dia dengan perkara-perkara baru. Sebagaimana pelajar tahun 4, kita dedahkan dia penggunaan intraoral scanner. Because mungkin di school dia belajar cara impression, tetapi mungkin bila sudah graduate, dia keluar kerja, di tempat kerjanya guna intraoral scanner. Macam mana, kan? So contohnya kita dah beri pendedahan awal. Sebab sometimes orang tanya accurate ke? How accurate is that intraoral scanning? It's very accurate. That's why kita kena buat test. So even masa di UGM, I presented about 3D printed denture, di mana untuk full denture, kita boleh print denture guna 3D printer dan boleh terus apply to patient without taking impression at all. So that one also has been done. So kita suka ke tak suka, kita kena dedahkan sedikit sebanyak kepada pelajar supaya mereka keluar kat luar sana. Tetapi mungkin juga kalau pergi ke tempat-tempat desa tiada keperluan, tapi kalau pergi badan besar mungkin ada keperluan. So pendedahan tu penting supaya mereka faham konsep dia, supaya dia tidak terkejut lah apabila dah mulakan pekerjaan.
Dan kemudian the next question, apakah di risetnya Dr. Johari itu mahasiswa di level undergraduate itu sudah pernah dilibatkan dalam level yang sederhana untuk pengambilan data atau memang levelnya sudah master program dan doktoral, jadi pernah melibatkan di mahasiswa undergraduate untuk risetnya? Yang sederhana.
Biasanya they come to me with the CT scan or CBCT scan, raw data, and then saya akan ajar cara software precision apa yang perlu diguna, bagaimana nak guna. Saya akan buat step by step lah, guna PowerPoint, step in PDF, okay, this is the steps. Jangan ikut lah. So sama juga yang postgraduate saja pun, seorang tu duduk di Mesir, seorang di India. So biasanya dia ada problem di email saya datang, saya akan proses, analyze, hantar ke dia, okay, you follow these steps. Dia akan buat, dan dia akan share result lah. Kalau betul, kita cakap betul, tak betul, ulang balik sampai betul. Dan itu caranya mudahnya sebenarnya, cuma kita takut kan. Mungkin software itu kalau macam 3D slicer is very complicated software. Nak load saja ada 5 steps. Tetapi kita tak perlu belajar semua. Kita dapat kereta, kita tak perlu belajar cara-cara nak tukar minyak hitam atau nak bagi enjin. Kita belajar cara nak pandu. Start enjin, masuk gear, tekan minyak, jalan. Saya ajar yang tu. Kalau kan dia dapat kereta, dia boleh drive. Sama juga yang untuk undergraduate pun kita bagilah panduan cara apa nak guna, bagaimana nak guna. Dan tak perlu belajar semua. Kita faham konsep dah cukup. Yang sekarang ni zaman YouTube, zaman Google, semua boleh cari. Tetapi bila dia tak faham konsep, dia nak Google apa, keyword apa pun tak tahu nak tekan. So kan kita, oh okay, this keyword, tekan, keluar, okay, this is how I'm going to do it.
Terima kasih.
Baik, terima kasih. Apakah ada satu lagi pertanyaan? Tidak ada. Kalau tidak ada, kita akan melanjutkan satu presentasi lagi. Dan sedikit saya simpulkan saja, Pak Ibu ya, bahwa ternyata dari komputer tomografi termasuk CBCT dia itu bisa berkembang ya, mempunyai nilai aplikasi yang cukup tinggi, bukan saja di dalam area diagnostik, tetapi juga di area rehabilitatif dan juga khusus untuk forensik itu ya, untuk identifikasi ya, identification pada rasial ya, seperti itu. Dan tentunya harapannya ini bisa kita kembangkan lagi ya dalam bentuk kerjasama lebih jauhnya ya, di mana nanti pada kasus-kasus di sini sebetulnya banyak ya kasus-kasus untuk rehabilitatif protetik ya, kebutuhannya itu banyak, di medical juga demikian, dan juga untuk aplikasi di bidang rekonstruksi maxillofacial. Baik, terima kasih saya ucapkan kepada Pak Dr. Johari Yap ya, dan kita berikan aplaus. Baik, terima kasih. Untuk selanjutnya saya persilakan Dr. Norsila, dan untuk bidang ini akan dimoderatori oleh Dr. Kartika. Silakan Dr. Kartika.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Terima kasih. Yang hormat kepada Bapak Kapolri, Dr. Azari, Fahmi, dan kepada juga Dr. Johari, Dr. Beli, dan yang saya hormati juga kepada para residen, baik yang menghadiri secara online maupun offline yang hadir pada ruangan ini. Untuk mempersingkat waktu, karena waktu sudah berjalan, sedikit saya informasikan untuk narasumber kita yang kedua ini adalah Dr. Norsila Abdul Wahab ya. Jadi beliau sangat banyak sekali, kalau saya lihat di CV-nya, beliau itu mempunyai spesialisasi di bidang fisiologi kedokteran. Kemudian spesifik kepada rehabilitasi swallowing, penelanan dan penelanan, ya, gangguan penelanan. Kemudian beliau juga area risetnya itu yang terkait karena memang beliau backgroundnya dokter gigi atau kemudian riset areanya itu terkait dengan serostomia, kemudian salivary flow rate, kemudian dysphagia dan swallowing rehabilitation. Kemudian beliau juga telah mengikuti banyak grant, ya, kemudian sebagai promotor dan kopromotor. Mudah-mudahan pada kesempatan pagi hari ini kita bisa mendapatkan banyak ilmu yang sangat bermanfaat, karena saya pikir poli kita kan terkait dengan bidang oral function tentunya itu akan bisa teraplikasikan ke semua bidang kedokteran gigi, ya. Jadi tidak hanya basic science yang tentunya merupakan dasar, namun ke semua bidang kedokteran gigi itu sangat terdampak dengan oral function. Maka waktu itu dan tempat kami persilakan.
Assalamualaikum, selamat siang, sore, siang. Saya akan bercakap mengenai speech and swallowing, ya, because that is my area of interest. Ini si foto sebenarnya saya sendiri tak tahu Bandung di mana. Yang saya tu Jakarta. Okay, jadi kena ambil gambar sendiri untuk tengok Bandung lebihnya di situ. Okay, so dari kami di Kota Baru, ya, kebakaran Kota Baru ke Bandung jauh sangat. So nama saya Norsila Abdul Wahab. So, student pelajar, they call me Dr. Sila, ya, and also they call me Dr. Sila, or my friends call me Kak Sila. I'm one of the senior lecturers there. So academic qualification, I'm just showing you here so that you know why I'm talking about speech and swallowing. Yeah. So I am a dentist. Not say am still because I'm not. I cannot practice now, as you can see. Yeah. So I have my BDS from UM, and then developmental language studies from UCL. To actually, I went there I went for masters in speech and language pathology because at that time I could not work as a dentist because of my CTs. So I need to change career pathway. So planning to be a speech and language pathology, but somehow during that time, issues with pregnancy and then 9/11. So I just did my diploma there. That's where I learned about my speech. The speech part I learned that. Yeah. Then I came back and did my medical physiology in KL, in UKM, then speech and language therapy for my PhD, specifically in swallowing. So now I teach speech and swallowing and also oral biology for the students in USM, the postgrad and also undergraduate students. So we only plan, right? But Allah knows better. So here am I now. Although I cannot practice, I still want to share. This is a sharing session. I'm not parkour as in the parkour, okay? I can share some of my knowledge with you all. So I'm going to talk a bit about speech and swallowing, and then something about what I'm doing currently as a lecturer. Because being a lecturer is not easy. You don't just lecture. You do lots and lots of other things. You can ask your son here, okay? And I'm not saying there's no regret in being a lecturer. You need to love your job, right? You love what you're doing, then you'll be happy. So this is my interest. my research area is more about xerostomia, because being a dentist with a specialization in swallowing, I need to connect that with my oral function. So xerostomia is a big issue in dentistry, especially when we have patients with cancer, post-radiation. That's a very huge issue there. Next, that's just the outline of my talk today. So, and also we'll talk about more on research, because I think most of us, in the end, we want to collect, right? Next. Okay, speech and dentistry. This is a very specialized thing in dentistry, because I think not many curricula in Malaysia, at least, because when the external examiner came to us and they see that, oh, okay, you teach speech, you teach about swallowing to your undergraduates, they think that is something that they did not do in their curriculum, but we did, because we know there's something student has to know. In prosto, even if you before you give the denture to your patient, you test them, right? You say in Malaysia what we did, bilang 1 sampai 10, because once you listen to the S sound, right? If the S sound is not good or not perfect, there might be something wrong with your prosthesis, right? So next, for speech in dentistry, we look at factors that affect speech. So those are the factors that usually most of the time fitting denture or auto appliance is related to the appliance itself. When patient does not feel comfortable with your denture, they cannot speak properly. If your denture are too thick, your tongue will be crumpled in your mouth, and you cannot actually move your tongue properly, because one of the articulators are the important structure in your oral cavity for you to speak. Now, if you try to say something, you can notice that your tongue is the major articulators, right? You also move your lips, everything, like when you say basically you're making the airflow stop at the lips, and then when you open it up, the sound will come out. So there are lots of things to do with speech, which is related to dentistry, because it relates to our structures in the oral cavity. And of course, the head and neck cancer are also important factor that will affect speech, because once we have that problem in the oral cavity or even the neck region, so the speech articulators will be affected, and your speech can get you have problems with speech. And for dentistry, the most important thing is cleft lip and palate. So in my for the BSM dental students, the undergraduate, I teach them more about cleft palate speech. Because most of them will see in their career lifetime, they will see patient with cleft, either repaired or unrepaired cleft. Okay, speech is just a little bit of introduction for speech. In speech, we have two things that we call phoneme and grapheme. So phoneme is the sound that we can hear. Example, when I say cat, the C, cat. When I change the C, the phoneme C to pet, that's already another meaning. But for grapheme is what we see, the letters, how we create the letters. So C can be for cat or chair. Different. The notation that the graphic is C, but we see it different. So the important thing to know is that we have lots and lots of phonemes and also grapheme. So this is the phonetic chart. In Malaysia and Indonesian language, there might be some different, because when we say you look at that we think it's everything like boy, cow, but it's different. The phonetic representation is so different. So that's how when we listen to us, let's say a patient with cleft, listen to how they talk, and the speech therapist will transcribe their speech. So during transcribing, this is what they will write. These are the letters that they will write during transcribing, and they will see how much the percentage of the accuracy of the pronunciation. So based on the accuracy, they will determine whether okay, you may need speech therapy to improve your speech, you may not need it, something like that. Yeah. Next one. This is the grapheme and how it looks like, the letters that we write, the symbols. Next. And what is important is that we use this phoneme and grapheme to teach kids with problem or adult post-stroke. For example, if you have an adult with stroke and they cannot talk, yeah, so they need to learn and they need to relearn. Yeah, they need to relearn how to pronounce this letter. So there are steps to do that. So the first step, they need to be able to pronounce it. So we start with phoneme level, then we move on until they can say the full sentence. So why learn about speech? I always show this slide to my students, yeah, because they say this has nothing to do with dentistry. I would say no, you're wrong. This is everything about dentistry. Because if you give your patient a faulty denture, they cannot speak properly, right? So you have to know about something about dentistry. And also when we want to learn other language, or we want to be able to say the words, the Quran words properly. So you need to know the placement and the manner of the articulation, how to articulate those letters correctly. So this is the communication behavior that we rely on when we want to determine whether a kid or somebody needs, this is the normal developing child, yeah, needs intervention. For example, when we have a kid of 2-year-old kid, but they cannot do the things that was that's stated there for 2 years old. And maybe there's no word, there's no two-phrase word. So you need to do something to the child because the child might have speech difficulties or maybe learning difficulties. Of course, it has to be tested, right? Speech language therapy, but at least there's something for us to rely on to see whether okay you are developing normally, something like that. Okay, for dentistry, usually I just concentrate on cleft palate speech. So with cleft palate, usually what they have is BPI, the biliary pharyngeal insufficiency, because there's short velum. Yeah, if it's not too bad lah. You have short velum and you have the speech output and the speech sounds different. Yeah, oronasal fistula. Fistula usually sometimes occur when you have surgery, but the healing is not good. Yeah, poor wound healing after cleft surgery, they might have oronasal fistula. And of course, aesthetics and dental problems and hearing problems. Hearing problems are always associated with cleft. The problem with hearing is that for children, they learn to speak by listening, by imitating. Yeah, that's why you don't say bad words in front of kids. They will follow you. Yeah, they hear what you say and they say that. That's how they learn. So if this child has hearing problem, most probably there will be speech delay, right? Okay, a little bit on BPI because this is something related to dentistry. Yeah. So gap is just the BPI is just a gap. Insufficient, not enough, not long. Your soft palate is not long enough to close your middle pharyngeal port. So what happens is that when you speak, there will be increased airflow into your nose. So it will be hypernasal. Yeah, we call it hypernasal speech, hypernasality. So it could be due to many factors, and those are the factors for BPI. Just skip that. Ini apa ni? Normal BP port. I cannot see from here. I think you can see the normal BP port. During breathing, when you're not talking, when you just breathe in and out, the BP port will be your velum is down, right? So you can just breathe in and out. But when you speak, let's say when you want to speak the oral sounds, yeah, they have oral sound, nasal sound. The oral sound especially, your BP port will close off your nasal cavity so that no air will come out into your nose. If you have problem that with BP port, what happens is that some air will come out through your nose, so you have hypernasal speech. Also, yeah, you can also have this problem if you have edema, and if you see that big tonsil, hypertrophic tonsil, your velum cannot move freely. So So you might have problems with your speech too. Yeah, next one. Related to BPI, the hypernasal audible nasal emission just is hypernasal is the sound which sounds nasal, but audible nasal emission gets like some cleft patient when they talk you can hear the nasal emission from the nose. Yeah, big pressure consonants because there's not enough pressure in the oral cavity to produce the sound. So the consonant is the non-vowel sound. Yeah, the consonant will be with compensatory articulation patterns. Imagine you have a cleft on your palate. Yeah, for when you pronounce k, let's say k, you need to put your tongue towards your bilam. But you don't have that bilam, there's a hole there. What happens is that your body will compensate by making another sound. Maybe they'll push your tongue anteriorly or maybe laterally, depending on the person. So we'll have a compensatory articulation pattern. So when that pattern is compensated, what will happen is that the listener will hear a different sound. So the sound that we hear is different from normal person. Okay? And then interface, what happened? Speech intelligibility meaning it's not that the person is not intelligent, it's just that it's very hard for another person to understand what that cleft patient is talking about. Yeah, voice quality and some non-speech activities. They also have problems with sucking, swallowing. Yeah, they cannot drink properly when they use straw, for example. Okay, management usually the goal. What is important here? The goal to manage cleft is that we want them to have near normal speech. So speech is one of the outcome measures for cleft treatment. Yeah? If let's say after cleft treatment, you assess the speech. So the speech is not good. Let's say 50% of the speech cannot be understood. What we can conclude from that is that the job of the surgery is not good. It's not 100% failure, but it's not 100% success. Yeah. Next. Okay, so when you have problem with speech, you can always go to speech therapy because speech therapists they are trained to manage these patients. They will have some activities so that the patient can relearn how to articulate the speech sounds properly. And of course, surgical usually is the first line of intervention when the cleft is so big. And orthodontic or prosthesis like obturators, yeah. CPAP is also one of the treatment, and also swallowing therapy will also help in speech problem because speech and swallowing are using the same set of muscles. We are using the same muscle. We are using the tongue. We are using the musculature, oral musculature to pronounce the speech and also to swallow. So when you do swallowing therapy, you are also helping with that speech. Okay? And this is a good study which many studies have shown that if we did the surgery before the kid is 18 months, yeah, the speech outcome is much better. Reason being, remember the communicative table that I showed just now? The reason is, by 18 years old, usually they can actually pronounce some words. So if the surgery is done before that, most of the time the child will not need speech therapy because they can articulate the speech sounds accurately. Okay, in this case, who do you think will have more speech problems? Obviously, it's the one there, the unoperated cleft, right? Unoperated at 8 years old, meaning he has been somehow speaking with that big hole for 8 years, and that is already a habit, right? So once you operate on that hole, that cleft, for this child to relearn the new articulator pattern is quite hard for him. I'm not sure. Okay, so we aim to repair cleft before 18 months. Yeah. Now that's about cleft. That's about speech. Now swallowing. Swallowing. Next. Next, so swallowing is very, very complex. Even now, they're not so sure, they're not even sure what brain areas contribute to swallowing. So what they can say during fMRI, they have found that many brain regions are activated when a person swallows. Yeah? So that means if you have even a minor stroke, you might have problems with swallowing. So most of the time when we see patients, they say, oh, I'm fine, suddenly I cannot swallow. Yeah, most of the time when we do CT scan or MRI, we find some lesion, maybe a small lesion that could affect swallowing. Because of that reason, many brain areas are activated when we swallow, for whatever reason we don't know. Okay, and also, as swallowing is the main route for nutrition and hydration, when people have swallowing problem, usually they will have lower quality of life. Most of the time, they don't want to go out. They don't want to see people when they have keep feeding. Yeah, most of them, of course, not all. But what we do in rehab is that we want them to be able to have a better quality of life, to be able to contribute to society. So the main aims, the outcome of the swallowing usually it depends on the patient. We do rehab. The rehab would actually need patient to do some sort of exercises at home. So depend on the patient. Sometimes patient like, I'm so already, I don't care. You know, I can be alone at home. But of course, we don't want that to happen, yeah. So before this, I'm very actively involved in rehabilitation of swallowing. So most of them are willing to do the exercises, but sometimes we need the exercises to be done like very regular intervals. Not many people can do that. So something else needs to be done, yeah? So for just a recap of swallowing, it's 4 stages usually. We look at pre-oral. Usually what we do in rehab is that we do something that we can like pre-oral. Pre-oral meaning whatever before swallowing. When, if you notice before you eat, sometimes you can feel your saliva coming out, right? So that is your pre-oral stage of swallowing where your brain already register that I'm going to swallow. I'm going to eat, so I need something to help me eating. So you bebaskan saliva, yeah. So that's what happens. So in patient with dysphagia, sometimes we use this. We give them taste stimulus that can actually release more saliva, so that it can help in swallowing. And of course, the esophageal phase, you cannot do anything about it. That is the medical part for that. And another thing about swallowing is the reflex. You cannot control. You notice when you swallow, sometimes you're not ready to swallow, but you already telan, then you cannot control it. Yeah, that is the reflex part. The pharyngeal phase of swallowing is the reflex swallow, which you cannot control. But cortex can be modulating swallow. So whatever cortex, that's why people with brain damage, they can swallow certain food, but they cannot swallow food when they need something else. Like for example, hard food they cannot swallow. Because to swallow hard food, you need more information from your cortex to help your muscles to contract harder, things like that. Okay? This one. So this is just a photo of swallowing process from the oral cavity towards the esophagus. So what is dysphagia? We talk a lot about dysphagia. It's just a symptom. So when you have dysphagia, there will be something else wrong with the patient. They cannot simply have dysphagia. Yeah, there must be something wrong. Usually we need to check. Most of the time there will be TIA, transient ischemic attack. Could be the reason for dysphagia. That patient, some patients are not aware that they have that problem. So we need to check everything. Yeah. So it's a consequence of other problems. It's not. When you have dysphagia, there must be something wrong with the patient. Okay, therefore now dysphagia and dentistry. Very rarely you can see a small kid lying happy in your dental chair. Yeah, this is just for pelakon tadi kan. Yeah, next one. So next one. For kids especially, you need something for them to lie down on your chair. So in PPSG we have something like this. Maybe that's lagi banyak ada yang cantik-cantik lagi kan. This is not from PPSG, but we have something like this in dental school. Okay, manage more patients with in your clinic. So just imagine Just imagine, this is just a bukan theory lah, maybe just imagine what happened, yeah. You have dysphagia patient coming to your clinic. This patient, if they have dysphagia, most of the time they have no cough reflex. Maybe no cough reflex. So what happened with that is that nanti later on we look at why, kenapa, what precautions that you need to do. So difficulty managing saliva, they might be drooling, yeah, but they cannot swallow the saliva efficiently. And with stroke patient, you have weakness of the lip muscle, so they might have drooling, and they might have also language or speech problems, so they cannot understand you or they cannot converse with you. So they need to bring somebody to talk to you about their problems. Right? So these are the precautions that you need to take when you have a patient with dysphagia on your chair. Okay, there will be increased risk of aspirating or small saliva. So your chair, instead of you need to level your chair such that the patient is comfortable and you can also work comfortably. Because if you let the patient lie down flat, he may choke on his saliva, right? Dysphagia, and patient with dysphagia, they may have loss of sensation. So if you notice you have normal patient on your chair, if you slip your probe, they might jump, right? But this patient, they might not notice that you do anything to them. So be careful when you use sharp instruments or when you use rotary instruments, because the rotation might sometimes you might slip and damage the video stuff. And also they may have impact cough reflex. Kalau impact cough reflex, the main problem is that if something gets into their throat, they cannot cough it out, and it might get into their lungs. And then later on, they have aspiration pneumonia. So that is a very risky thing to have. Yeah. So that's why when you have that, you need to use rubber dam. Rubber dam is crucial to be used in patients with dysphagia, right? And also good suction. Now we have the high suction power instruments, right? That has to be used at all times with patients with dysphagia. And limited mouth opening, you can use mouth guard. And of course, when you have limited mouth opening, the problem is you cannot see too well into the oral cavity. So be careful when you work on the limited opening there. Speech and language problems, again, this one you need a caregiver or a family member so that they can talk to you, or especially for consent purposes, because some patients, they might have language problem. Language problem meaning they don't understand anything, yeah, mostly. So then somebody has to sign for them for consent purposes. And this is the last one, short treatment time, yeah. Short treatment time because these patients, they have dysphagia, most of the time they don't have enough fluid. So most of patients with dysphagia, one thing that you can be sure that they have dysphagia is dehydration or the dry mouth condition. When you look at the oral cavity is dry, yeah, meaning they don't have enough fluid. One is very good. Xerostomia, something that I want to talk about xerostomia. Very, very important in dentistry, yeah. When you see patients, they open their mouth and they have all these effects of xerostomia in the oral cavity, you need to do something. Okay, you cannot just say to the patient, you cannot just treat the dental caries, for example. Let's say patient with xerostomia, they came to you, they have lots of dental caries, you just treat the dental caries. That's not it. You need to treat the dysphagia, yeah. Not just treat caries because it will come back. Okay. Okay, that's the thing about speech and snoring. Now, just a little bit about my research and supervision. So this same slide is just now my research area. I'm interested in xerostomia and cerebral fluoride. I have lots of my students go to the clinic and just collect saliva, then measure the fluoride, and then look at biomarkers. I'm also into biomarkers of xerostomia. So we take the saliva and look at biomarkers for xerostomia, and also, of course, I'm into rehab. So So these are some of the students, my students, and you can see the keywords there. Also students who actually make a rendang, with the food technology, we make a rendang that is suitable for patients with dysphagia. These patients usually they cannot eat hard food, so we make a rendang which is semi-solid, easy to swallow food for them. Habis. That's all. Okay, thank you. Anyone interested to do, further your studies in this area?
Ya, baik, terima kasih Dr. Norsila. Dan baiklah, mungkin kita sampai kepada sesi tanya jawab, ya. Mungkin di antara para audiens yang ada, responden yang ada di sini, ingin memberikan suatu pertanyaan atau komentar dari apa yang tadi juga ada penelitian yang Dr. Norsila sudah lakukan, mungkin nanti bisa ya. Jadi mungkin ada pertanyaan dulu daripada rekan-rekan residen di sini, silakan. Ya, silakan Dr. Zaki.
Thank you, Dr. Sila and Dr. Johari, for the excellent presentation. It's really wide-opening, actually. My question perhaps related to your last sentence about the semi-solid rendang. As we all know in here, rendang is more oily and takes a lot of time to cook. And for the normal condition, perhaps eating rendang would require us to drink a lot. But this one, you treat the patient with dehydration with rendang. Perhaps you can explain more about this. Thank you.
The rendang was in puree form. Yeah. In puree form. I'm not sure about the cooking method, but it's done by the food technologists in Penang. So they brought the food over to USM, the hospital USM, and gave the patient for the patient to test. This is still not commercialized; it's still under research. But the rendang is there, the puree rendang.
That's even more interesting because we have a lot of patients here in Hasan Sadikin or in dental school that has xerostomia from very light to severe ones. We can learn more about that rendang because eating the food without taste is not really good for the patient. So this is a good treatment.
In fact, because you remember the pre-oral phase just now, the pre-oral phase is we usually use food like food with taste, food with visually appealing food for them. So, but this rendang visually appealing may not be one of them, but it's easy to swallow because they don't need to chew. Because the problem with another problem is mastication, so they don't have to chew. They can just swallow the semi-solid puree rendang.
One more thing, doctor. Have you also combined the food treatment with the saliva substitution?
Yes, but the problem with saliva substitution is patient has to buy that.
That's right. And even they can buy it, not a lot of manufacturer company can provide it in here, especially. So yeah, is there any other approach that you can suggest to the patient aside from the rendang semi-solid, which we don't have it yet in here?
We prescribe exercises for them because there are a few exercises that they have to do at home for rehab purposes. Because our study have shown that even my study is about smell and taste for my Ph.D. Smell and taste, when we give them when we stimulate the whatever thing that for swallowing, related to swallowing, what happens is that there will be neural network, which, when you have problem, when you have stroke, the problem is that your neural pathway for that, actually normal swallowing has been disrupted. So what we want to do is for the patient to lay out a new neural pathway for that new level of swallowing. So that's why we describe this exercise for that. Because studies have also shown that when you do something repeatedly, there'll be, your brain is plastic, right? There'll be a new neural network for that
based on the new habit.
Yes. So that's the aim for the exercise.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sila.
Ada lagi yang ingin bertanya? Ya, silakan. Presiden.
First of all, thank you for Sila for the presentation. I would like to ask, this question is actually from my very own experience. So I have a little cousin, he's about 2, and he actually doesn't talk till now. And comparing to the other kids, like in social media, like they talk like really well and communicate with their parents really well. And by that, my question is, should we as his family be worried, or should we take him to a speech therapist, or is there anything at home that we can do to help him communicate? Thank you.
He's 2.
Yes, he's 2.
What about other developmental thing? Is it normal?
Yes, he eats well, he plays well like other kids, but he doesn't seem to talk.
What about interaction with other people? Can he initiate a conversation?
Not yet. But he understands us, but he doesn't talk.
Okay, then maybe wait until 2.5 years old, then you go to speech therapist.
Oh, okay.
Because if there's other major problems, like his initiation of conversation is one important aspect in speech development, but he's only 2. But if he's 2.5 and he still will not initiate conversation with other people, then maybe you go for speech therapist. But if the other developmental aspect is okay, then maybe what the parents can do at home is sit down with him at a regular time, let's say, I don't know, meal time, and then during that time, talk. And also, speech therapists, they use cards. Those cards that we used to, flashcards. Flashcards. So maybe just use flashcards so that he can talk. Sometimes he can say, he just doesn't want to say. So maybe have a session with him 3 to 4 times a week. Sit down and, okay, what is this? Like what speech therapy would do in a session. Because I going to actual speech therapy will take time and money, of course, right? So maybe they can do something at home to initiate that. Because it's only 2, you can sort of push him a little bit. Some boys especially, just need some time. Yeah, otherwise, because you see everything else is okay, then usually that's fine. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
I don't know whether I'm looking at the right person.
Thank you so much, Dokter.
Oke, terima kasih. Ada lagi yang ingin ditanyakan? Oke, the last question ada? Yeah. Last question maybe, Norsila. What the role of the dentist in the field of the speech? Because the dentist is not therapist in the hibrid, ya. Jadi peranan dentist di bidang itu apa? Speech.
You know, in Malaysia, speech therapist is not to say new, very new. And when you work in rural area, kampung-kampung desa, they might not be a speech therapist there. So I always tell my students, with your little knowledge of speech therapy, maybe you can offer your service to patients, rural area, yeah. At least give, I give you advice, yeah, what to do, yeah. Of course, we are not speech therapists, we cannot do their job, but you can sort of identify who needs intervention. So maybe you can just say, let's say rural area, kerja rural area ada ibu bawa anak 3 tahun masih belum bercakap. So maybe you cakap ibu mungkin anak ini perlu bantuan. Yeah, maybe the parents kata oh biasa kot 3 tahun tak bercakap, that's not really biasa lah. Maybe that's your role, not active role then. Yeah, but for speech in stroke, post-stroke patient, usually orang tua-tua kan ada kena stroke kan, they may come to you, you can offer your little bit of knowledge to them. I believe that whatever little that we do in this world will mean something in the afterworld. That's why I'm still here, although I cannot do post-stroke.
Thank you very much. Jadi mungkin saya rasa cukup kalau sekiranya tidak ada yang ditanyakan. Nanti diskusi-diskusi lebih lanjut ya Dr. Fahmi kepada dokter juga akan kita lakukan sesudah sesi ini. Mungkin saya kembalikan kepada MC.
Baik hadirin yang berbahagia, cara selanjutnya penyerahan cendera mata kepada pembicara pada kuliah pakar pada hari ini. Pemberian cendera mata yang pertama akan diberikan oleh Dekan Fakultas Kedokteran Universitas Padjadjaran dalam hal ini.
Yang mana nih Pak yang nggak gini-gini? Udah 2 yang nggak boleh.
Zakiawati, MSc Spesialis Penyakit Mulut
Kenapa ya
kepada
lari-lari?
Dr. Johari Yap Abdullah. Mungkin kami silahkan untuk ke depan. Untuk pemberian cendera mata yang kedua akan diberikan oleh Dr. Azari kepada Dr. Norsila Abdul Wahab beserta dengan Dr. Kartika. Mungkin berkenan untuk mendampingi Dr. Azari memberikan cendera mata. Ini dokter, kami silahkan. Baik, terima kasih dokter. Untuk acara selanjutnya kita akan melaksanakan foto bersama. Punten dokter, untuk rekan-rekan silakan untuk merapikan tempat duduknya. Kita akan melaksanakan foto bersama. Untuk para peserta mungkin bangku-bangku yang kosong agar ditempati agar tidak terlihat kosong, mungkin agak kenapa.
Selamat ya.